Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. My name's Helen Noble, celebrant of Surrey, co-founder of the Healthy Marriage Success course and founder of Swan Song. This week I'm talking vows. Do you want to do them in front of everybody? Do you not want to do them? Do you want to write them? Do you not want to write them? Lots of conversations. So for me, having a celebrant, one of the main reasons, rehearsal aside, and also knowing your supplier and not having a stranger in the room aside, and also building a relationship. Like, there's lots of reasons to have a celebrant, but for me, one of the really strong reasons to have a celebrant is because you get to write your own vows, should you wish. Now, mostly that fills probably 50% people with dread and 50% people with satisfaction, because they're like, good, because it's my responsibility what I want to say and what kind of spouse I want to be, nobody else's. Other people are like, oh, just the standard stuff. I don't want to have to write my own vows. I've had brides say to me that they do not have a creative bone in their body and they will sound like a 5-year-old. I've had grooms say to me, oh yeah, I'm great with words, I'd love to. So you just don't know. But personally, writing the vows is just so heartfelt and actually signifies such a dedication to your marriage. Yes, it's the heart of the wedding, but it's the foundations of your marriage. You are giving your word, and your word is your bond, and your bond is what your marriage is built upon. I even say that line. I write everything bespoke, but there's literally that line. I'm like, do you know what? There's no other way of saying that. That is it. And so it's not up to me to tell you what promises you're going to make, because what I value might be slightly different to what you value. What I would prioritize as the top 3 things might be your 4, 5, 6. You might have a different 1, 2, 3. It might be 6 vows. You're like, 6 vows? I was just going to do 3. It's completely up to you. So there's ways of doing it. For my couples, I will go through the whole wedding design, and that wedding design is built on their marriage principles and their relationship. From that, we kind of start to go, actually, this is what you're about. These are your non-movers. It might be sometimes we reverse engineer it. And I would say to the couples, what would make this marriage fail? What are your non-negotiables? Is it infidelity? Is it lack of trust? Is it soulmates? I.e., it might not be a drunken night out, one night stand on a stag night in somewhere is what breaks you, because you go, I realise you're a bit of a dick. Don't do it again. I'm over it. That might be okay for you. Other people might be like, I don't care what you do with your body. It's ridiculous. But if you have another soulmate who you phone every day, who is your best friend, that isn't me, that's a problem. So you just start really talking about, actually, why might this not work? Is it because you got a job in on another continent and you're like, oh my God, I've had this job, we're totally going, how about it? And you're thinking, no, I'm an absolute homebody and there is no way I'm getting on a plane and living in another country for my family. No way. And so all those big conversations, firstly, will happen when we meet and when we're kind of discovering what you're about. Secondly, those of you that sign up to the Healthy Marriage Success course, we really go into that, because it's so good. If you're not done, sign up for the course. It honestly makes the foundations of your marriage so much stronger. I'll put a link in the bio. But that's where the vows come from. Some couples, very rarely actually, to be fair, but you might be one of those people, go straight to the crux of it. They're like, this is what we're about. We are writing our vows first, and from that, we're going to create the wedding around it. That very rarely happens. When it does, I'm blown away. It's amazing because everything comes back. It's amazing. But they tend to be actually, she was a writer and he was a publisher. So they were very, very good with words. And they had 4 readings. That, yeah, it was just like, yeah. But for most people, the vows would pretty much be the last thing because we've done so much talking, exploration, like going, well, why would you leave me? They'd be like, well, I'll leave you if actually this would happen. They're like, would you? Oh, what? Well, I'd leave you if this happened. They're like, that's never going to happen. You're like, yeah, but if it did, just so you know, for the record, that's me done. They're like, oh, okay. And it makes, it's usually got wine involved. I usually say to them, have a good old date night and get really into the crux of it. And that's when the vows can get written because you genuinely know your solid ground. Yes, there will be bumps. Yes, there will be challenges. Yes, there will be unforeseen circumstances. But if you know your intention, if you know your values, if you know your pillars of your non-negotiables, then you're not just sailing blind, just blind hope. Fingers crossed, let's hope for the best. There is more to it than that. And the vows really, really, really keep you tethered, are the lighthouse for if you get lost. They just really keep you on track, I guess. So there's some techniques, there's some structure. Sometimes couples are like, yeah, can you send us some examples? So I might write a few examples and then send them to them. And then they send me back a sort of hybrid of a mishmash of their words, my words, words they may have got off Pinterest, and create it. The other question I get asked is, do they need to be the same? Again, with a celebrant-led wedding, you can do what you like, which in one way is amazing, another way is very daunting. So again, it's that conversation. I think it's quite nice if you bookend each other. So you have like the same opening words, an opening line and a closing line, and then you do you on each of your vows. I think that's quite nice. Sometimes, so there's that option. Matchy top and bottom, but your own style in the middle. Option 2 is you write completely your own thing, they write completely their own thing. You don't send them to each other, you don't do it together, you send it to me, and you say, you know, are we roughly both on the right track? And then I'll kind of look, because what tends to happen is the person who did the proposal has really thought about the intention and why they're doing it and all that, and then these vows come with that being reignited and relived and revisited in them. So these like awesome vows come, but what tends to happen is the person that's proposed then kind of goes, oh, that's me done for a bit, and then steps back up at the vows. And the person that said the I do, be it bride and groom, is the one actually organising the wedding. And so the vows tend to be a bit of a shopping list. Like, I promise to, da 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 da. I'm like, oh, just gonna mix your styles up a little bit. Or I might ring that person privately and say, just so you know, the vows that I've received from your partner are quite melodical, or they're very methodical, or whatever it is, and that's them. Your style is very, very different. Is that all you, or are you super stressed? And then she was like, oh my God, no, I just wrote a list, didn't I? And I went, yeah, you did. Whereas another bride was like, yeah, no, because yeah, it's basically like, here's my crib sheet of what I'm going to promise. I was like, okay, cool. And it really suited them. So you can, that's the other option, is you can write it blind to each other, send it to me. I will just check in with you both without giving away what each other's is, but just double checking, because once you're in the exercise, people slightly change their minds. They go, oh, we do want it to match. Or, oh, could we have the same opening line perhaps? Or could we do a couple of really basic truths that both of us want to say? And then I can amalgamate it and send it back to you individually and going, how about this? And we do that. That's the second option. The third option is, what have we done in the past? Um, People have just kind of lifted straight off the internet and they send it to me, and I can tell. And I'm like, that's very lovely. Should we add a few personal touches in? I noticed that you've mentioned this in the past. Should we weave that in? Or this has come up and that's not in there. Do you want to put that in there? And they're like, oh yeah, of course, sorry. I was like, no, don't apologise. It's completely you. I'm just trying to enrich it as much as possible so you get the absolute best wedding vows that you can. And other couples, and this happens, I don't know, maybe twice a year. So I don't know. Well, I can't. One year I'm doing 40 because it's COVID catch up, and another year I'm doing 20 because I want a work life balance. So I can't really give you a statistic of how often, but I would say last year, this happened twice, where the couple are very shy, very introverted. The idea of walking down the aisle was enough of a freak out for her that she was like, I genuinely do not want to do this. I was like, well, let's not do it. Let's just have you at the top. And everyone can come in the room to you. She's like, okay. And then we did the rehearsal. And on the day, she was like, I want to walk in. I was like, okay. But so we can work with whatever is your comfort zone, because you want to be your best self on your best day. And so we work with that. And that translates over to the vows too. So if standing up in front of everyone fills you with dread, and speaking in front of everyone fills you with dread, and speaking from your heart some really intimate things to your person in front of everyone fills you with dread, you don't have to do it. It's nice to do. Everyone loves the vows, it's the highlight. But if really genuinely it's going to trigger a panic attack, or you're going to faint with nerves, you're just going to keel over, which this bride was like, I will pass out, I can't do it. Well, that's absolutely fine. And everyone knew they weren't expecting her to be able to stand and deliver vows. So what we did is I said, in the morning, they are going to have breakfast together in whatever is the room that they'd hired at the hotel. And they will be saying their vows to each other, and their vows represent blah, 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 blah. And they will be promising blah, 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 blah. So I basically told everyone what their vows would be without exposing them, without them feeling like they were standing there being talked about, not talked to. That really worked for them. And the next morning, they sent me a selfie of them at breakfast reading their vows. And she was so happy, and she'd slept like a log because she hadn't dreaded it or anything. So that was good. So I'm all about healthy brides. So she didn't wake up in a nervous wreck on the wedding day, and slept really well on the wedding night. So that was good. So the vows don't have to be declared, because I'm not legally binding and I'm 100% ceremonial. At your marriage with your registrar, you have to stand up and you have to say, and it has to come out your mouth. It's not your words, it's what they're saying that you have to agree to, because it's the legally binding contract. So it's the terms and conditions that you have to say. I call upon these persons here present, and I know not of any lawful impediment, all that stuff. So that has to get said with the registrar. But if you do the 2x2, it's just you and your witness, them and their witness, and the registrar and their witness. So if that anxiety of speaking in front of people is a problem, again, at the registrar, you just do the 2x2, and it's the registration of marriage, and you're just saying pretty much the terms and conditions of the marriage contract. On the flip side of that, if you are a thespian, or if you're quite big, it might be you want to really declare those vows. I've had a groom sing them, no joke. We had a microphone and he was like, I've actually put this to music. I was like, oh my God. So I knew he was thinking about it. I didn't know if he would actually do it, and he did. And he literally sang his vows, and we were just like, that's happened once in 11 years, but it blew me away. And she was like, oh my God, I can't believe you did that. And then she was like, oh, I'm just going to say mine. Right. So you do you. The wedding I did at the weekend, the groom was very, very nervous, chatted the whole time. And he's like, I'm sorry, I'm talking. I was like, no, it's fine. I'm just going to keep on talking to your guests. You sit down and just hold your wife's hand. And he was like, okay. He was just super nervous. And when we got to the vows, he had said he would stand up and would say them to his fiance, his wife to be, or they got married the day before, so his wife. But could I stand in front of them so it wasn't watched as such, but they knew it was happening? I was like, yeah, of course. So I just kind of rejiggled myself. So come the ceremony, they could have their private moment, but everyone could hear. And yeah, it sounds odd, but it did work. And then I've had another groom just say, not the mic. I don't want to have a microphone. I'm just going to say it quietly. And so we do that. So there is so many options, and there's probably options that I haven't even said on here. But it's just to let you know that with a celebrant-led wedding, choose, talk, discover, create, visualize, recreate, rediscover. We'll go through it all so that we get you as your best self. Most things the other side of fear, getting past that fear, and so that come your wedding day, you have said and given your word, because your word is your bond, and your bond is the foundations that your marriage is built upon, and they are the vows. We'd love to hear them. I'd love to help you with them. At the Healthy Marriage Success course, we'll go through that a bit. And also working with me, we can go it. I also do extra classes, well, just one-to-one tutorials, I suppose, with couples that are particularly struggling. But the way I do it is we leave them till last, mostly. We write the whole script, they get familiar. It all starts to feel safer because it becomes familiar, because the brain likes familiarity. And then perhaps maybe a month, a fortnight before the wedding, you're in the right headspace to go, okay, I'm totally ready to think marriage and vows. Now wedding planning is all done. And it's super special and amazing. So hope that's helpful. Don't fear the vows. Don't fear the vows. Embrace the vows. This is what it's all about. So take care. Lots of love. And I'll see you next week.